The Bahamas teams up with the region to help curb water challenges.
Want to learn how to protect yourself against criminals? Well, we have some moves coming up for you in the Bahamas Tonight, the weekend edition.
Now in HD. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight. This portion of the news brought to you by BTC Every Day.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Bahamas Tonight, the weekend edition. I'm LaDawn Davis. Thanks for tuning in. Topping the news tonight, Caribbean delegates returning to their respective countries with a new mandate to improve water management in the region. Several recommendations coming out of the annual Caribbean Water and Wastewater Conference, which ended at the Atlantis Resort last evening. Among the goals are initiatives to improve access to funding and turning more focus to wastewater and its management, which apparently comes at a high cost. Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Works Philip Davis says countries attending the conference face some major challenges with high debt ratio, which makes it difficult to mitigate against poor water management. Additionally, he says part of the challenge to water management and water security is climate change.
Most of the countries represented here by the ministers are not contributors to the cause of climate change. It is the industrialized nations, and funds have been created to assist nations with greening their economy so as to cut down on what they call a carbon footprint. Accessing those funds has been troublesome and challenging for most of the small island states. And so we're talking about forming a unit and approaching these funds as a group as opposed to individually.
The Deputy Prime Minister says attending ministers were told to sensitize their cabinet on the water safety issue, and he also intends to take some of the recommendations to cabinet. He pointed out that the challenges of water management were the same across the board, and ideas were exchanged on ways of managing the limited water resources and alternative means of producing potable water.
Our water reserves have been reduced to 50% over the years. What we used to have, we only have about 50% today. And so we have to find ways and means of managing that. Also, the highlight of this conference was the fact that, we don't pay much attention to wastewater and what happens to wastewater, and the consequences of wastewater just being flushed, thrown out, and the consequences of that.
With the implementation of value-added tax less than 3 months away, tourism industry businesses are stepping up their readiness activities as the Bahamas Hotel and Tourism Association works closely with the Ministry of Finance and industry stakeholders to prepare businesses for the transition. This coming week, VAT workshops designed for hotels and tourism-related businesses will be mounted in all major family islands. The Bahamas Hotel Association is hoping to help businesses mitigate the impact of VAT on their operations by being prepared and ensuring that they navigate through the process in the coming months. Meantime, the country's real estate industry could be impacted significantly when value-added tax comes on stream January 1st if the government does not eliminate stamp duty on all real estate transactions. But President of the Bahamas Real Estate Association, Carla Sweeting, says it's an issue they are currently considering. She believes this move would have a huge impact on the sector.
When VAT is implemented on January 1st, we will have a stamp duty as well as 7.5% on the professional fees of any residential transaction. Commercial real estate VAT will be applied to both the professional fees as well as the sale price.
While she is unable to say how VAT will impact the market at this point, Sweeting explains that it is still very concerning because the strength of an economy is measured by real estate sales and construction.
Well, the commercial side is very concerning to us. Not only is it concerning that the VAT is on the actual sale price, but it's also on the CAM charges, which is the common area maintenance fees, and all the other things that come along with it. So There's some areas that we really have to look at, and Mr. Roll is willing to work with us on those areas. Because what we don't want is we don't want this to stagnate or eliminate any aspect of the real estate industry. We want it to continue to grow and continue to prosper.
From the crime beat, a man is in critical and is serious. Others are nursing gunshot wounds in hospital this evening. Now, shortly after 1 o'clock this morning, a group of men were engaged in a gambling game on Baldwin Avenue off Farrington Road when a lone gunman fired several shots at them and fled on foot. One of the men was shot to the head and another to the thigh. They were transported to hospital where the man shot to the head is detained in critical condition, and the other victim is said to be stable. 2 other shootings are also being investigated. Just before midnight, a man was walking on Toot Shop corner off East Street when he was shot to the chest and leg by the occupants of a dark vehicle. That male was transported to hospital where he is detained in serious condition. Also, shortly before 2 p.m. yesterday, police say a young man was walking on Dennis Court, Yellow Elder Gardens, when he encountered 2 men and was shot to the hand. The men then fled on foot. The victim was transported to hospital where he is listed in stable condition. The elderly in our community also being abused, and it's a burning issue for the Department of Social Services. Janet Hutchinson of the Senior Citizens Division says on a daily basis, older persons are increasingly being abused in some form in this country. She told ZNS News that the ministry plans to increase public awareness on the issue, as many people do not realize how prevalent abuse is among our precious pearls.
Well, abuse can be physical, the hitting, the punching, the pushing, shoving. We also have financial abuse, people misusing the funds of the older person without their permission. We also have persons who are neglecting them, and neglect could be not feeding them on time, leaving them at home for long periods of time by themselves and expecting them to do things that they know they can't do for themselves, or they abandon them. Sometimes they leave them in the hospital. And you have to call them and ask them, please come for your relative. They've finished with their medical treatment, so they abandon them in the hospital.
The department has also received reports of sexual abuse. This, Hutchinson says, cannot be tolerated.
I say, my God, we had a case earlier this year where a young man, raped his mother. And I can't even fathom that in my own mind, that you would do something like that, and so we have a lot of these things going on, and so we want to appeal to the public, where it's if in your neighborhood, if it's in your household, wherever you see it happening, you have to report it. By law, you have to report it. And so we're here, we're available. If you need help as a caregiver, if you need resources, let us know so we can direct you to the appropriate place. But we cannot allow this to continue. We want to value and we want to respect our older persons. We're standing on their shoulders. They paved the way for us. And so we're encouraging our community, please, for God's sake, man, treat them with respect, value them, appreciate them, show them that you love them.
Incidents of rapes and sexual assaults seem to be on the rise. Just this past week alone, 2 women became the latest victims, while a serial rapist was carted off to jail. Given the country's rising crime levels, the question is, how can we protect ourselves? Well, an expert in self-defense says it's all about survival. In this report, Sieska Adderley shares some simple moves that can help you do just that.
In light of recent rapes and sexual assault cases making headlines, Chief Instructor at the All-Star Family Center, DRC Ramming, stressed that residents must know how to escape if they ever find themselves in a violent encounter.
In this day and age, without question, everybody needs to know how to take care of themselves. And most situations are survivable if you know how to take care of yourself. And most situations are survivable where you can reduce the risk of injury or reduce the risk of trauma. For example, rapes, a lot of rapes are going on right now. And a lot of people, because they are afraid and they don't have a plan, they will go with the rapist who understands that he is now in control. So what the course is about developing a plan and taking back that control, even under the worst of circumstances.
Pointing out how there are a number of ways to do that, Ramming says he offers short courses ranging from a weekend seminar to 12 weeks, depending on what the needs of the students are. And the courses entail areas such as when and where to strike, how to run, the psychology of an attacker, how to avoid an attack, and how to increase your sense of awareness. Even I was taught a few moves just in case, heaven forbid, I was caught in a sticky situation.
You can scream, and that sometimes helps you to get away by drawing attention to yourself. You can run away and just avoid it entirely, or you can fight your way out of it. So we give techniques for basically how to escape, so you can run away and fight your way out of it.
And while it may seem like women are easy targets, ramming encourages both men and women to know these life-saving skills because it's better to be safe than sorry. Sieska Adderley, ZNS Network News.
Thanks, Sieska. And still to come, a look at efforts to create a cultural village with the start of a chocolate factory. That story and more when the Bahamas Tonight, the weekend edition, continues.